there, everybody. Matt Heller here, founder of Performance Optimist Consulting and the author of The Myth of Employee Burnout. Here to bring you another episode of 3 Questions. This is where I get to pose 3 questions to a guest, they pose 3 questions to me, and we just see where the conversation goes. Our answers are unrehearsed because we have no idea what those questions are going to be. Today, I'm really excited to join Josh Liebman, who is the Director of Business Development with Amusement Advantage, a company that provides mystery shopping and guest experience analysis to the attractions industry. I'm really excited to have Josh here today because Josh and I go way back. We're good friends, but also this is a relatively new position for Josh, and I'm super excited to hear how it's going. So, Josh, say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello. First of all, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to this call, Matt. A little bit about myself. I've been in the attractions industry a little over 10 years now. Started at Cedar Point up in Sandusky, Ohio as a ride operator. Moved down to Orlando shortly after that. Worked for Disney. I worked for Universal. I opened Legoland. My degree is in theme park management from the University of Central Florida, as well as a master's degree in hospitality and tourism. What else? Like you said, I recently took on the position of Director of Business Development for Amusement Advantage. Very excited to be in that position. For quite a while now, I've been wanting to build these programs and services geared towards managing the guest experience, particularly with the aim of driving guest loyalty, of really aggressively getting guests to want to return frequently, as well as help generate new business for the attraction. So really excited to be launching all these services under Amusement Advantage. Prior to AA, I was with Operation Pineapple for 3.5 years or so, since I started that in 2012, focusing on generating sales and revenue and per cap for the attractions industry. So this is a good transition for me, and thrilled to be exhibiting with Amusement Advantage at IAAPA in a week and a half now or so.
Yeah, just around the corner, the corner. So are you ready for your first question?
I don't know.
I think you're ready.
Let's do it.
It actually has to do with something you were just talking about. I want to ask you how your first job at Cedar Point has impacted or influences the job that you have now.
Sure, that's a really good question. So my first job at Cedar Point, which was 10 years ago, I worked there in the summer of 2005 and 2006, went back for 2 seasons. And, I would say really having that frontline experience, I was, line level ride operator. You really can't make it in this industry unless you have that line level experience, and really being, just being on the ground, providing the service to the guests every day, and whatever the job capacity is. In my case, it was rides, but, really anywhere, is what's foundational for really understanding how the business works. And so I would say, from that position is really, I would consider that a diving board into the rest of my career, as far as what I was able to understand really how guests work, and how easily it is to tick them off, and but also simultaneously how effective you can be at really roping them back onto your side, and things that you can do to impact the guest experience. Some of them in very small ways, some of them in larger ways. I would say a lot that I learned, just being in that position, or, even a couple other frontline positions that I've been in. After Cedar Point, I came and I worked for Disney, also on the front line. And, similarly, just really being able to have that face-to-face interaction with the guest on a daily basis, countless times over and over again, gives you a lot of perspective on what it is that you can do to continually make guests satisfied, and take guests who are dissatisfied and convert them back to satisfied.
Awesome. And so that's now what you get to do, really, is help organizations figure that part out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm ready for your first question.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know we're gonna bounce back and forth here. Great.
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
So my first question. You've been in the business a while. What, about 25 years or so?
Something like that. Yeah.
There's many avenues, many obviously departments, niche areas of the business that that a lot of people could go into. So what I'm wondering for you is, why leadership? At what point in your career did something click and say, this is what I'm an expert at, this is what I want to hone in on and teach the industry? Why that, and why not another aspect of the business?
Well, it's interesting because you focus a lot on sales and the guest experience, and so I could probably ask that same question of you. Excuse me, but I think for me, I've always been very people oriented, and even from my very first job, I realized that people were really the most important part of this business. And, many people have said it, but you can have the greatest attractions and greatest games and that kind of thing, but if you don't have people behind it, if you don't have the staff to make it all happen, then it's not going to be a great experience. And I think what I also realized through lots of experience is that, of course, leadership has a big impact on that. And I think I've kind of turned my passion for people and the attractions industry, and then looked at really where that comes from. And it all starts with leadership. And, I think I was an effective leader, but I think even now that I've learned more about the art and science of leadership, that, I really see all the different facets and where it can, have a huge impact. And, you talked about the frontline experience, and, a lot of people will call me and say, hey, Matt, we need guest service training. And I look at really what they're doing, and it really turns out to be more of a leadership issue. Maybe the leadership isn't, modeling the right behaviors, or they're not providing feedback, or they're not, disciplining people when they're not doing the right thing. So, I think that to me, because that has such far-reaching impacts to everything that we do in this industry, I think that's probably where that path led. But what's interesting is, I've held a number of leadership positions, and when I got into human resources, to me, when I look back on it, was really an extension of what I had done as a leader, because I'd always focused on the people first. And some people said, well, yes, the people are important, but all these other things are important too. Going back to what I said earlier, if you don't have the people, none of the rest of it matters. So I think getting into human resources was an important part of my path to kind of see how the actual development of leaders happens. So that kind of has led me to kind of what I get to do today.
Cool.
Yeah. So good one. Excellent. My next one takes a little bit of a different shift. If you could only eat one type of park food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Cheese on a stick.
That was easy.
You couldn't have asked me an easier question.
I'm gonna have to deliberate. So cheese on the stick. Any particular toppings or anything you do to it?
No, and that's one thing I think about. It's great living in Orlando, of having the big parks here, and kind of all the unique park food, and it's really actually very cool to see this gourmet twist that's taken on park food. Just yesterday, I made my third visit to Epcot's Food and Wine Festival, where it's just unbelievable that it's like, wow, we're eating this kind of food in theme parks. But when I think about it, that's what I miss from the regional parks.
Okay.
Is just that very deep fried, just breaded cheese. That's my favorite. Yeah.
And it's part of a healthy diet too.
It really is. Yeah.
Awesome.
So my next question for you, your business, POC, Performance Optimist Consulting, helping leaders lead, right? Slogan, or helping leaders do what they do best.
Yeah.
Curious as far as what the long-term vision is for POC. Where do you see it taking? Where do you see taking it in the next 5 years or the next 10 years? You have your training programs right now. You have the performance analysis reports you do with us, with Amusement Advantage, with mystery shops. Where's what's next, and what's on your mind for where you see it in the future?
Well, I think it's always a tough question to know where you want the business to go and then where it actually goes. So especially when you're an entrepreneur and you're leading your own business, and right now it's just me, and I get to work with you and Scott with a great partnership with AA. But I think what's kind of next for me is I do have another book that I'm working on.
Cool.
And this one is about the transition to leadership. And I suppose now that I've said it here out loud, that now I have to do it. But this has been in my mind for a while. That
will it be in the bookstore at IAPA this year?
Not this year, no. There might be a little notepad with with my notes on it.
Yeah.
But really, there's a huge gap between what it takes to be a great frontline team member and what it takes to be a great leader. And what I've seen in a lot of industries, and specifically in our industry, is that people get promoted because they're good at what they do. They're good at being a ride operator, not necessarily good at being a leader. And that can really hurt them. But I think there's also sort of a necessity in some of that in terms of how many people there are in the sort of the leadership pool, and how you can actually make a transition from being a frontline person to being in a leadership role and being very effective. And there's a huge change in mindset from, worrying about your own stuff to now you're worrying about stuff for everybody else, and now you're responsible for other people. So there is another book in the works. I think taking my involvement with AA to another level. I think there's even more partnerships that we can foster now that you're on board too. Getting deeper into kind of the issues that people have, and I've also started really focusing on my coaching business. I've had a number of one-on-one coaching clients and really enjoy that work. And there's a lot of great things that you can do when you're up in front of a group of people, and you can train them and you can build skills and those type of things. But there's also something really special about being able to work one-on-one with someone and really dive into what their issues are, figure out where they want to go, and help them provide a plan to take it to the next level. So I think those are the couple of things that I'll be working on over the next couple of years.
Cool.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing all that.
What's that?
But I look forward to seeing all that.
Yeah, and you will. All right, so I guess last question. Doesn't seem like it's should be last question already, but what are you looking forward to most coming up with the IAPA Expo right around the corner? What are you looking forward to most?
Well, I say this every year. I'm always looking forward to reconnecting with old friends and making new ones. I always look to IAPA as my favorite week of the year. It really is, and really kind of where the way that I've interacted with the show over the last several years. My first introduction to it was as an ambassador, where I was, really kind of going back to that front line. That's what I did many years ago, which was a fantastic introduction to being able to see kind of the inner workings of the show, simultaneously being able to do a lot of networking too. And I really, because of IAPA, I learned how to network, and I always go back to IAPA looking to continue to hone and refine those skills and make more connections in the industry. That another thing that I've noticed, from many years ago, is that you should never underestimate the power of even a small connection or a small introduction. There are many times when I've reached a point in my career and I think back, well, what really came back to this, and a lot of it had to do with just, it may have just been a very simple introduction or simple handshake at IAPA, or it could have been a more of a larger networking experience or whatnot. But pretty much every milestone that I've reached in my career can be traced back to introductions that have been made at IAPA. So
okay.
So I look forward to continuing that, and it's really, it's snowballed so much over the years that I go in with more connections from the previous year, who I'm then meeting more people, and the more that I can do, to serve the industry is also a very important part of the networking as well, because obviously I'm not just looking to meet people for my own personal benefit. I also I also want to be giving to the industry and fostering the success of the industry too, which is why I'm very excited about this new position with Amusement Advantage, to be able to do that, and going into the show kind of wearing that hat this year, and be able to network from that standpoint and make new connections and reconnect with old ones.
Okay. Hey, can I ask you a follow-up question on that? because a lot of people struggle with networking, and to some people it's kind of a dirty word, you know, oh my God, I got to go networking, and they get very scared. So can you share some of the things that you do to successfully network?
You know, a lot of it has to do with, sometimes it's just walking up to someone and introducing yourself. That's how I met Scott with Amusement Advantage. I was walking around the floor. I had heard of Amusement Advantage through you, actually, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You know, we're just, you know, using this as an example, and I walked up to Scott at the booth and I said, I heard about you. I read about you on Matt's blog. My name's Josh Liebman, and then I think I said, how can I become a shopper? That's you know, that was so kind of going back to that question, that even something such as a small introduction like that can then lead to something big down the road. Case in point, right here, that is proof of that. So, you know, I would say, you know, do your research beforehand, as far as, you know, who it is that you're looking to meet, and to be able to maybe prepare specific questions if you do come across that person, or even prepare general questions for, you know, for meeting someone that you immediately find would be beneficial to network with, and always making the conversation about the person that you're talking to, less about trying to just promote yourself and just trying to you know, gain business out of it, or gain personal gain. Really making it about trying to develop that relationship by understanding who it is that the person that you're talking to.
That's an excellent point. I think a lot of people think that they have to have their elevator speech ready and they have to talk about themselves and sell themselves, but I agree. I think if you make it about them, then it makes the conversation much easier.
Yeah, and it's not always about the number of business cards you collect. You know, you know, every year after the show, really, you know, any conference now, I'm going through my business cards, and you know, there's a few of them I throw away. I say, I don't know who this person is, you know, and sometimes it's for me, and sometimes it's just people, you know, looking to dish them out, you know. So it's you know, making that business card that you collect purely a formality, and not saying, oh, this is now a connection that I have because we exchange business cards, but actually understanding that person and then having them desire to understand you as well.
Awesome. Cool.
Well, my last question for you, you know, it takes a unique character to be in this industry. You know, a lot of people come into this industry and really, you know, it's very polarizing. You know, some people come in the front line and they say, you know, I will never work in this business again. And then there's, for whatever reason, people like us that say, this is my passion. This is what I know how to do. So my question to you is, if you weren't in the attractions industry, what would you be doing?
Whew. Well, I would be trying as best as I could to be a professional musician.
That's what I thought you
That's
said.
what I would, that's what I would be doing. I mean, you know, I'm a drummer and I've been playing drums for a long time. And, you know, kind of to your point, I've left the industry a couple of times thinking that, you know, this was a temporary job and I would move on to a real job at some point. But kept coming back because it's just something that it gets in your blood. It kind of gets under your skin in a good way. And, you know, I think, you know, the fact that you get so much exposure to other people and you get to learn about other people and you get to, you know, make them have a great day. I was just having an email conversation with a friend, and he said, you know, what a great industry that we work in, that, you know, yes, there are some bad things that can happen, but every day we get to get up and make somebody's day or make somebody happy, or, you know, those kind of things. So I think there's too much of that to pull me away to, you know, pursue the rock star dream. Yeah. But that is something that, you know, from the time I was little that I wanted to play and wanted to be a musician. I still play, but now it's more of a hobby. So I don't think that's in the stars for me at this point, but good question. So, cool. Well, I think that concludes our 3 questions session. Did you have any other questions or anything else you'd like to add before we kind of sign off?
I don't think so, no.
All right. Well, Josh, thank you so much for participating. I do appreciate it. And this video will go live very soon, and I'll send you the link so you can see it. And for anybody else that has questions for myself or Josh, I'll also include contact information so that you can get in touch with us. And until next time, this is Matt Heller with Performance Optimist Consulting. Have a great day.